Getting back into my 4K reviews, let's talk about the SpongeBob SquarePants movie on 4K. I will not go too much into this movie with details because I think this is, one, a very iconic movie that I think most people know about by generation, and if not a little bit older generation than mine. But then also, I plan to review all the SpongeBob movies before the next SpongeBob movie comes out. Was it The Search for SquarePants or some shit? I don't know. So I don't want to like ruin that. But so let's talk about this movie a little bit. Essentially, Steven Hillenburg envisioned this movie as the end of the show, and I think you feel that throughout this movie. It is so much grander scale than the original run of the show. In fact, it's treated with quite a bit of sincerity and like actual stakes to it. It's a legitimate movie. I feel like the other SpongeBob movies, they're not really movies. You can watch them at home and they're fine. This I wish I'd gotten to see in the theater because it's a real legitimate movie, and it's just great. And so like every inch of this movie is iconic. There was, I am always surprised every time I watch this movie how unfunny this movie is. SpongeBob is a cartoon that you watch for its comedy and comedic value. This movie doesn't really have that. Not to say it's there. I always love the line from Mr. Krabs, where the scene's King Neptune, and since he's rich, he's like scribbling on new prices, and Mr. Scribber's like $101 for a Krabby Patty, and he's like, with cheese, Mr. Squidward, with cheese. It's just like, that's a great line. There's great moments, right? But it's really not a very funny movie. It's really more character based. Like the characters actually grow and change in this movie. SpongeBob and Patrick, even other side characters have a little bit of arcs, like Squidward and stuff. And it's really great. I'm always surprised that Scarlett Johansson's in this movie. Very young Scarlett Johansson. I believe she was only 20 at the time when she did the voice of Mindy the Mermaid in this movie. Very odd guest star, though. I mean, it's not like she was famous at the time. She's just kind of here. So, I don't know, but she's good in it as that character. And do I have anything else I want to say without really saying too much? Because, again, I plan to review this movie at some other point. Not really. Now let's get into the 4K packaging before we get into the transfer. So the 4K packaging is really nice. There's no slipcover version of this, which I think is by design. Because I feel like a movie like this, while there are lots of fans of this movie, I don't think there's really a market for like a slipcover 4K release. I imagine that there's a big possibility we will still get one. So I'm not saying if you really want one of those, don't wait up. Like, it's not happening. It could happen. I just think that it's less likely to happen with this. Just because it's SpongeBob. Like, even watching this 4K transfer, and I'll get into that in a minute, I just felt like, what was the point of upgrade other than the nice Steelbook? I mean, this is a gorgeous looking Steelbook. It's pretty simple, but it is very effective for what it needs to do. Here, let me pull out the disc here. Great interior artwork. Like, it's pretty effective, right? Didn't really need to do anything other than just be SpongeBob, right? So, I don't know. I really liked this edition. I think it has a lot of value to it for me personally, but I would only recommend this kind of release to the mega SpongeBob fans because, I mean, there's trilogy sets where you can get all three of the SpongeBob movies on Blu-ray. There's double feature sets where you just get the first two SpongeBob movies, which are the best ones. So yeah, like there's better options, I would say, than this, because this is going to run you like $25-$30. You can buy a trilogy set of all the SpongeBob movies on Blu-ray for like $20, right? Do you really need this? Not really. If you're a mega SpongeBob fan, of course you gotta have this, right? For me, I am a mega SpongeBob fan, so I do gotta have it, right? So, now let's get into that 4K transfer. I, like I said, this is only a release for the mega fans, and that shows in the 4K transfer. Like, the 4K transfer does look better. The animation, I think, is you really see that those darker levels, especially since unlike most SpongeBob, this movie has a lot darker shading. That's part of it, part of by design to make it look more theatrical. But it's also because there's darker sequences. They're going like, and darker set pieces, right? They're going to Forbidden City, and there's all these darker areas and locations that shine a lot more in this 4K remaster, right? So it all looks really good. I think the best looking part of the movie maybe was the beginning of the movie with the live action bit of the pirates going to the theater to see the SpongeBob movie, which is such a great moment of the movie, right? But yeah, I don't think there's any like vast improvement. Like you're like, oh, I can't watch this movie on Blu-ray. No, you could. It looks fine. This is not a vast improvement. That's why I say either wait for a sale for this one or just don't get it unless you're a mega fan. That's my recommendation for it, because while it is a vast improvement, there's some movies that you just kind of look at and does it really need 4K? I don't think that every movie needs a 4K. It would be nice if every movie got a 4K. To be honest, if every movie got a 4K, I would not I would probably get majority of them, right? I have a lot of Blu-rays and a lot of these movies I would upgrade happily. But at the same time, sometimes you just gotta be okay with what's good enough, right? Because Blu-ray is already such a vast improvement from DVD, from VHS, all that stuff, that 4K is a whole nother level. And really, it's improving. It's done great work. But at the same time, I'm sitting there going, none of these things really need 4K all the time. There's some of these movies that I'm fine with just the Blu-ray, and this is a great example. But I'm still incredibly happy with the Steelbook because I love this movie. I do think I could do without him having his tongue sticking out there, but other than that, I think this is a great release. Also, I would rather it had been a slipcover of him holding this. I feel like that would have been better, so you don't have this logo on the front. But it's a great release. If you love SpongeBob, you gotta get this release. But if you don't love SpongeBob and you just like this movie and you think it's fun enough, it's a maybe. But you do you. I don't control you. But let me know your thoughts. Like, share, and subscribe.